When studying ageing populations, again you need to look at the impact of this. So if you start off your diagram with like a walking stick in the middle to remind you of this idea of ageing population, and then put impacts to the left. If you then draw a line across, okay, because what we're going to first look at is the social impact, and then we're going to look at the economic impacts. Now socially, what we're going to see is a life expectancy increase. On top of this, we're going to see a large number of elderly dependents, okay, putting a large financial strain in terms of the amount of care needed on their relatives and younger family members. This could mean a smaller number of children in families, as most of the money is spent on looking after elderly relatives rather than bringing up a young family. Economically wise, it's much easier to really think of the impact. Really, you've got to think of the financial costs of having an elderly population. You've got to think of the fact that you need to cover pensions, you need to cover NHS and other healthcare costs, and the provision of things such as care homes. As a result of that, with fewer economically active people, you're going to see a tax rise. The only real benefit of an economic benefit of an ageing population is something referred to as the grey pound. The grey pound basically refers to the fact that lots of elderly people generally have lots of disposable income, having paid off their mortgage, and they can spend this disposable income in the local economy. So that's looking at the impacts. Now, much of the unit looks at actually how have certain countries attempted to deal with a problem with an ageing population. And for that we look at the UK and France. Now the UK have done several very simple things to try and make it much easier for them to deal with an ageing population. Firstly, the retirement age has increased from 65 to 68. This means that people work longer, therefore pay taxes for longer, and spend less time on a pension. We've also seen the UK government encourage migration into the country, particularly of young, economically active people who will therefore pay more tax and provide money to support the elderly population. To further increase the amount of tax available, the UK government has increased the tax they charge on their workers. The French, on the other hand, have gone a very different way about it. The French have aimed to increase the amount of young people in their country, with the idea that 20 years on, these young people will have grown up to work and therefore support their elderly population. Now, there's lots of things that they've done to that. One of them is nicknamed the super mums, which basically, for every child a mother has, their retirement age decreases, okay, while still receiving a full pension. As a result of this, women are encouraged to have children so that they can retire earlier. Another thing is that parents are given 3 years paid paternity leave, okay, for either the father or the mother to take. Again, this means that it's cheaper, it's more affordable to have children, and therefore families are more likely to have them. On top of this, childcare is subsidised and school starts at the age of 3. This means that less money needs to be spent on providing childcare when or if the parent decides to go back to work. One of the other strategies is something called the carte nombreuse. Okay, it's an initiative by the French government, which is where any families with 3 or more children are given a discount card, which gives them cheaper tickets on trains and entrance to events. Again, it's this idea of making it much more affordable and cheaper to have children, which will mean that people are more likely to have large families. Those children will grow up, provide tax, and therefore support an elderly population. Now, there's lots of different strategies that France do, and it might be that your teacher's done a few different ones. But as long as you understand how that strategy increases the birth rate, you'll be absolutely fine.